Everyone, this is Rick Morgan. I wanted to introduce you to new products that I'm making and using and improving stuff. First one is, the main one is this a replacement for the good, tried and true and tested and loved, well-loved Tic-Tac board, which if you don't know, if you're unfamiliar with it, has a small cutout here for putting staples in. You put it under the cover, under the first page of the book. It'll be outside the tacking iron. It helps to alleviate spine ticks, and it's always been one of the favorites on my website. I can sell a lot of those, constantly running out. New improved hotness is going to be this one here, and it is called the, thanks to Nolan, my son, this is going to be called Begone. I'll get a different color so that you can see it more easily against my shirt. It has the same cutout, exactly 0.5 by 1 millimeter for staples to go into. You might notice something. It's a little longer, a little narrower. It has a deeper cutout here where your finger goes. This edge, it's very well defined and very reproducible now. You can see it right there. And I'll show you some images of how that fits in a comic book here. I'll show you one already so you can see. And then you'll notice it has a bunch of holes in it, right? And then what do the holes do? Well, this is actually about close to my 60th prototype. This is like the last 10% before that change came, and some of this video is going to be before that change was implemented. And I realized that the paper, the cardstock, was actually more rigid than the same thickness of different plastics I was using. And so I'll explain some of that development later, but the gist of it is that it is actually much stronger with this honeycomb shape than it is otherwise. And you don't press anything on top, like the paper isn't being pressed down right here. It also has this extra added benefit. If this gets warm from using the tacking iron, it actually dissipates the heat better. So it gives it rigidity, dissipates the heat. It cuts down the printing time by a lot, because 3 of these things takes 11 hours to print on the finest settings that I have. And they're kind of fun to play with. You'll see now too. They'll have several colors. Most of them will be white. Most of the material will be PETG. It's a high temperature material, but the PLA is a little smoother, so I'm going back and forth on that, but right now they're PETG. Now you might wonder, hey, it's plastic, will these melt? And I'll show you some video there, but if the long and short of it is no. At the 135 degree temperature that I recommend, it won't melt. It won't deform even. And the melting point is much, much higher, but the transition to glass temperature where it might deform or bend a little bit is low. It's about 175 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit for PETG, and we're doing 130 for this application. So PLA would work too, which is the other material I'm using here. That is 140 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit, where the glass transition temperature. Now, will it even make it that? No, you're taking a tacking iron on it with paper and a silicone sheet and rubbing it back and forth lightly for about 8 or 10 seconds. I haven't noticed any, but if that's a concern, got that taken care of. They work really well. The first several were, hit and miss, to be honest with you, but they do a good job. And the second thing I want to show you was this new macki ball holder, which you'll see in the video here, and I'll narrate it. It is smaller than the old ones. I'm calling it a macki ball plus because I'll still sell the old ones for people who just want a place to put a steel ball. But I'll show you here a picture. It looks like there. This is looks like now, and why change it, right? What's the necessity? Well, it ends up being that people started using it as a handle, as a tool to drive the ball around on the surface, and it ends up that if you make this very smooth and the right inside angle there, that it helps this thing to roll on the surface and is more comfortable for your hand. So I designed that, and it works great. So there's 2 new products. I have a third one coming up, and this is, I don't want to maybe spoil this prototyping too early, but this is going to be called the staple station here. It's going to have a place to put your capable staple tool and the flawless staple remover. Dowel. It's going to have 2 magnets here to hold the staples when you take the staples out. And I'm working on it still for balance and ease of use, but essentially it's a place to collect all of these tools and to keep them handy and not take up so much space on your desk. So that's going to be the staple station, right? Maybe I thought for a while of making it look like a giant staple, but at some point it's just ridiculous. Anyway, I'll have some video showing you both like the initial use of the edges. I got the edge, this getting this angle developed, so the development work, and then the application studies, like lots and lots of practices using it, which made me want to change to this sort of a honeycomb design. I'll have some video on that too, and then you can see it. You can see it in action. So I don't have very many of these. I'll put them in my store as a prototype item now until I get feedback from other people. But they are safe to use, and they work really well. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the video. Take care. See ya. The difference, this is our original, older Tic-Tac board. You can see this edge right here. It's sloped to mimic the edge of a comic book, but it's imperfect. Right? It's not completely even. It was just very difficult to work with this cardstock. We wanted something that has a little bit of give. But now we have this one here, which is made of, it's a little bit shorter. It has a more defined edge to it. It's made of high temperature TPU, and it has a better sloped angle on the front. I'll show you the difference here. I'll show it on red so you can see. It mimics a comic book shape exactly, and I'll demonstrate that now by showing. I'll take this Eternals book, and we'll show closely what it looks like when we have that's actually kind of the wrong end of the book to be doing this on, I guess. You can see that there's not quite a perfect fit with the, there's a little bit of a gap with the Tic-Tac board right here. So it doesn't quite match it exactly. In fact, I'll do it with this, I'll use this X-Men 130 because it has a better top of the, we'll show you that it looks like here. If you put the Tic-Tac board here and you're going to press against there's a little bit of a gap right here on this edge, and I'll try to capture this in the light. Come up here, Nolan.
It's a little hard to see on camera. The Tic-Tac board does not want to focus.
But with this in place, you can continue filming.
Yeah, it's still filming.
Okay. With this in place, it's a much better fit. You can see that it fits exactly right here. It's just a perfect fit. It looks just like as if there's a comic book in there. See that right there?
I was very much impressed the first time you showed me. I thought that was like perfect. I don't think you can get any better than that. Like seriously.
Yeah, it looks like that, and it meets it the entire way. So that the idea is when you are, rubbing the hacking iron here against the surface, that it's a normal force pressing back. The trick is that we have to make sure that this plastic doesn't melt or soften, of course, up to the 135 degrees we're pressing it at, which it won't. It has to give a little bit of give too, so it's the TPU material. So that's one improvement, and we'll try to use that in a moment. The other one is, I'm going to show you, this is the macki ball holder. No, it started off as just a ball holder to keep the ball from rolling around, but people started showing me that they use it as a tool like this. You can see it slides a little bit under the tool holder, and they've used it on comics like that to get rid of wrinkles. You kind of do this, but it doesn't quite do so well. But this new one is 3D printed. It's very fine. You can see it's a little smaller because people ask for them if they're going to use it as a tool. They don't want to put their hand out that far. And then you can press it here, and it does roll. It's hard to tell on camera probably. Get down there. You can see that it is rolling under here instead of. So it's a nice tool to have. You can get rid of this wrinkle like this. And it comes right now in 4 colors. And these guys here also come in several colors. I don't think I'm going to do the metallic one. This was just an experiment. They're pretty flexible, really, because of the material. But I can make them in silver, but they're going to come in black, white, and blue.
America.
Tic Tac boards. Now you'll notice also I don't have the ones with a staple relief, and that's because it takes a different filament. The other ones had a staple relief right here. We're getting on either side of a staple, and I'll have to make that a separate product because it needs a different filament. These each take a long time to print, and so adding that staple relief has to use a finer filament and a finer nozzle. It takes a much longer time, so that'll have to be a different product when 3D printing versus the regular. So for now, we'll still have these same Tic Tac boards, but they'll go away, and the same is going to be true for the regular Mackie Ball holders as well. We'll replace with the Mackie Ball Plus, we're calling it. So we have spine ticks here. Here, you catching all this on the light there?
Yeah.
They're here, here. Big ones here and here. That's what I'm going to focus on. Are these two? By the D and Dazzler, by this green star right there. That one, and then this one that says right here. So we're going to try to take those off of there. All right. So you ready?
Yep.
So what we're going to do is take the Tic Tac board, and I'm feeling like using a red one today. And I like to put it under the second page of the book sometimes to give it a little more cushion for the pushing, but I'll do it under the first page. This one to show a difference. And it's got enough space here. What you do is you hold the paper, show my hand from a higher angle. You hold the paper and you push with your finger. Gives it some tension on this part here. So now the Tic Tac board's right there. And then what we'll do is we put this piece of silicone with the silicone side down. A silicone paper. We hold it. I could actually do both of these at once. I'm just going to hold the paper, show my hand, up at a higher angle there. And then I'm going to show I'm pushing this in, and then I'm going to just rub this here with, I'm going to hold this thing still as well, and I'm going to go ahead and rub this on here several times back and forth. I can hold it still right here now. I'm going to go ahead and rub this back and forth. Sometimes I go like a little figure 8. I'm trying not to make a pattern reveal itself in the actual book. So I'm just going to rub this back and forth. And it just depends on the paper and the age of the book, how many times you do it. But usually around 20 times, I'd say, is a good number. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that in there a little further, hold it down, silicone paper, and I'm going to just rub that out. And just a little bit of force, not much. And the silicone protects it from getting scratch marks from any imperfections in my tacking iron. And then I'll move it up a little bit and see how it looks. And you can see already that those marks are actually entirely gone. I'm going to move this up here because why not while I'm on the book. I'll go ahead and move this up north. I'll go here and do this as well. This is actually working really well. Yeah, it's going to be great. A little bit of a figure 8 pattern here. You know, you got to do this enough times that the paper is heat soaked. This is about 135 degrees. I don't want to go any hotter than that for spine ticks. You could have color left and color transfer. You could make just the heat could make it discolor. So you don't really want to really go too hot. And then we'll see what this looks like now. Here are the before and after pictures of this book. You can see like circles where some of the spine ticks were before and after. Like a dummy, I chopped off in editing the spine ticks in the left of the letterbox there. But they're gone. The thing works really well, you know, as expected. But it's a great tool, and I'm really proud of it. All right, once we have a final prototype design, then we do the product testing. So that means we put solvent on it, we splash it, we heat it, we do lots and lots of books with it. We try to figure out what is going on. We use the 2 higher temperature materials. We have the PLA and the PETG. And PLA is quite a bit lower than PETG, but it prints a lot faster and looks a lot smoother. I mean, that we're trading off temperature resistance for smoothness here. And none of these transferred any ink to a book from the colors of the filament. This is a 130 degree surface. We're looking, it doesn't, what I'm trying to display here is that it doesn't melt the surface at all. I know it's hard to see on camera. But then with no silicone paper, we just try the rubbing motion of 130 degree. I think it's actually 135 degrees in this test. Just seeing if does it melt, does it deform, does any ink come off, does there any harm come to the thing, any harm come to a book. Now, this is a book. A book would be between this and the iron, of course. And it is warm to the touch. It's not melting. It's not sticky. They're working great. So these are good to go from either material. PLA for smoothness, PETG for high temperature resistance. I think I'll make most of them from PLA. If you prefer a special material, just let me know and I'll give you one made of that. Now I'm going to leave it in the same place for several seconds, not move it around, and we'll see if does it melt or deform these in any way. You do get pretty warm. The honeycomb pattern helps to dissipate the heat, but the plastic does get warm to the touch. Of course, when I put a hot piece of metal directly on it, not moving it, no paper between it. This is something that would never happen to it in real life. And we'll look at both here, and both of them are just fine. You can see all the little ridges from the filament lines. There's nothing wrong with them at all. I would do like the top surface, in case you accidentally did that. It's going to be fine. It's nothing wrong. Now we'll put them in a book. This is just a book I happen to be reading right there. This is just checking for fit. So we're going to put it right around the staple. So this is where the staple goes in the book there. So that's where the staple relief goes. If you want to get many spine ticks are right on either side of a staple. So we'll push it in there. We're checking for fit. Does it fit properly? Look how it's a little longer than the old one. You can put your thumb there, hold it in place. You put your piece of silicone SRP paper and you rub there. It's just fine. Help get that spine tick out. This is a far superior product to the regular tick attack board. And it's, I mean, there was barely any spine tick there to begin with, so it's not worth showing before and after. This is more of a check for fit and finish, and this is what it looks like in service. I'll show you kind of what the natural shape it has and the good fitment. And it's very difficult to get this to focus. I hope you can see that it looks a very natural lie. They're very good at removing spine ticks. So that's it. It's very strong too. The other one was really flexible. You add this honeycomb and it becomes very stiff and very rigid. This was, by the way, I think the 60th design that I had. It took a lot of designs. I have a big pile of these things. But it worked great, and I think you'll like it. I hope you do. So anyway, I'm really proud of this one. I hope you like it too. I got not a lot. I have like maybe 10 of them all together right now. For a long time, I was making the version 2 was going to be a little Insight, was just going to be this version of this Lucite, which actually works really well too. Right here, it's got a rounded edge to it, and it's very sturdy. It's a really nice product. It just takes me way too long to make this. It takes me like an hour to make one of these. It's really tough. I had to make a special mandrel for bending the plastic and then polish it and sand it, and then I have to reheat press it. It's just too much. And that's after I had to laser cut it out too, so it's not worth it. But you can get. I mean, I'll put these in my store now. The ball holders are already there. I just sort of slow rolled those out quietly. This thing is going to be cool. I can't wait for this. Here's what this holds the tool here. I mean, it's just a holder, right? But it's just harder to lose this way. Still needs work because this is a curved surface. It doesn't fit in there very well. But this is going to sit in here, and in the front, you're going to have, like I explained earlier, you're going to have 2 magnets that I'm going to thermal press in here, and it'll say top and bottom. This is where you'll hold your staples, and there'll be a little place to put the mandrel there. And I'm trying to think of a clever and cool design than just this trapezoid, because it's kind of vanilla and boring right now. But that's coming. I'm sure I might pack some clay down here to give it a little bit of weight. But it'll be fun. It'll be a fun thing to have, a little thing for keeping things organized. I'm also going to start making these modular so that they slide and fit together. So you can have like a macki clean station and a capable staple tool station and a place to organize all your erasers to keep your stuff organized around you so it's easy to reach, and harder to lose and harder to knock stuff over. So anyway, I'm working on stuff like that. So check it out at immaculatecomics.com, and I will see you around online, folks. Take care. By the way, I'll be in Las Vegas this weekend in Nevada. So if you have a comic book store, you want me to come by and say hello, I might just stop by and give you a shout. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.